with a right neutral row with our right leg forward. From this stance, we can pivot our back leg, have our toes pointing forward, and straighten the back leg. This is called a forward bow. So rather than our attention being slightly skewed, our hips are square and forward, thus forward bow. And we can go to the other side, forward, left forward bow. Those are the stances. I think those are the only stances we're going to need today. All right, the next thing that I'd like to look at is something called blocking set. It goes through all of our blocks. It goes through a lot of our blocks, and it'll cover all the blocks that we'll be using today. So we'll start at attention stance, the bow, and ready stance. So the first block is going to be an upward block with the left hand. So the upward block, I know a lot of you have martial arts training. Do whichever upward block you're comfortable with. The upward block that I'm using comes straight up in front of your face, and you reach a mechanical kick point where your arm won't go straight up anymore. And that's when you pop it outward. And you want it so that you're defending your head from downward attacks. So if I'm going to strike Larry and he executes an upward block, his head is protected. So upward block. Next one is an inward block. Pretend your fist is on a kind of a ball joint, and you'll just pivot inward. Ultimately, your hand is not going to stay here because you're going to be kind of at an awkward angle. But the goal is to defend something over here. So if Larry is throwing a punch at me, inward block. So we've got an upward block and an inward block. The next block is an outward block. So our arm is going to stay on the same plane, and it's going to go outward and pop over here. So if Larry is throwing a strike at me, outward block. We're defending strikes coming from that direction. We've got upward, inward, outward. Now from here, we're going to throw a downward block. It's going to come around your face and pop down here. Now this is good for defending against low strikes, sometimes kicks if they're coming in that area. So if Larry's throwing a right kick, downward block. And you want to be striking with this area of your arm. If you get your elbow, that's going to hurt. If you get your hand, that's going to hurt. So we've got upward, inward, outward, downward. Then our hand's going to come back to a chamber, and we're going to do a push-down block. Honestly, throughout my training, I haven't really found much use for a push-down block. Okay, and there's a good example there of where different people have different experiences with their training. So downward or a push-down, and then we're going to come back to chamber. We're going to do this whole series on the opposite arm. So it's an upward block, an inward block, an outward block, a downward block, chamber, and push down. Now what I've done to incorporate the breathing and to help with timing is we're gonna exhale, and we're gonna click and tighten at the point of the block. We're gonna breathe in, execute the inward block, outward block, and downward block. In with the chamber, and a push down. Inhale, and do the whole series on the opposite side. So I'd like you guys to go through that a little bit and in there, walk around a bit, and kind of see how everybody's doing. Try to get the hip bowing and the breathing in, because that's going to help with timing and power generation later on. So, and if you have questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, the chest comes out, and on the exhale, we're making ourselves small. Inhale, big, exhale, small. And the goal is to give a smaller target and to be tight real first. If you can't, if the breathing is difficult, I know it can be really difficult, and it took me a long time to kind of adjust to it. You don't have to do all this bowing, but make sure you're exhaling on the blocks.
Does this come from Kenpo, Sancho?
The breathing just comes, as far as I know, it comes from Goju. A friend of mine kind of gave that to us a few years ago, and we spent a lot of time fighting and training with him. As far as like the actual getting into Goju, that's kind of the most that I was given from it.
It's very similar to the tension.
The blocks?
Blocks.
Yeah, yeah. They use it in everything. They use it in fighting, kata, everything. And from my understanding from Joe's classes, they spent the first 2 weeks doing nothing but breathing, and they didn't throw a punch or kick until 2-3 weeks. One of the points of the exercise, as far as like converting it into an exercise, is to kind of take it slow and make sure you get the breathing timing. We end up using the breathing later on in the system to kind of prepare ourselves for various things, getting striking, tightening, strengthening our core. It has a lot of uses, and we don't want to speed through it just to go through the motions. We want to take it slow and really focus on our timing and where things are clicking and tightening and things like that. If that makes sense. This should also be relaxing. If you guys are feeling stressed out or getting a little confused, then please let me know, and I'll come around, and Larry will come around, and we'll help you kind of through the exercise.